Hello everyone, here's some of what's heading your way tonight. Your news at 9.
The defense for one of 10 suspects in a Lawrence County murder case says they need a jury from outside the area. I'm Chris Warner. We'll tell you why.
Going to hear about a new Oklahoma law that will change funding for public school districts.
A new COVID-19 surge could be just around the corner, and this time it might be targeting a new demographic. I'm David Lee Miller in New York. The details coming up.
Nick Kelly has weather. Jacob Leonard has sports. This is KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Jordan Abbey. Defense attorneys for a Lawrence County murder suspect are pushing for an outside jury for the trial. KOAM's Chris Warner has more.
Monday's hearing was for a change of venue, more specifically, a change of jurors. Now, back in August of last year, Sarah Pascoe of Aurora was shot and killed, and another woman shot and injured in Lawrence County. Authorities have ultimately charged 10 people in the case. 5 are charged with capital murder, 4 are charged with first-degree murder, and another is charged with hindering prosecution of a felony. Monday, a change of venue hearing was held at the Jasper County Courthouse in Joplin for one of those defendants, Gary Hunter Jr., who could be facing the death penalty. The defense pushed a case for a jury to be selected from Jackson County, Missouri, stating that the local jury pool has been contaminated by media coverage of the case from Joplin and Springfield. The prosecution says it disagrees.
I think it's unnecessary. That's not the rule. That's not the theory. This is a death penalty case, so I understand what the judge has to consider. We got to make sure the trial is fair for the defendant, and when we're asking for this serious of a consequence, we need to make sure we are protecting those rights, but I do think that it's an unnecessary expense to travel up there for a week and then bring them back down.
From here, the judge will consider the evidence and make a determination on whether the local jury pool is contaminated based on media coverage of the case. That will be taken up at the pretrial hearing scheduled for May 12th. Reporting in Joplin, Chris Warner, KOAM News.
The attorney for the defense left the courthouse before we could ask him for an interview. Joplin police identified the victim of Friday's crash on South Range Line. They say that victim is Lionel Carr, 31-year-old from Joplin. Authorities say Carr was riding a motorcycle that was involved in a crash with another vehicle on the 2800 block of Range Line. The driver of the other vehicle was taken to the hospital where she remains. She is currently being listed in critical condition. Nick Kelly joining us now with the first look at the forecast. Gorgeous morning, gorgeous day, gorgeous evening. I think it's going to be a gorgeous night, right?
Yeah, we're just hoping that we can get one more nice day out of the picture, Jordan, and I think we can squeeze in one more nice day tomorrow before changes roll in. But you were right, because of our beautiful day, we started in the mid-50s and topped out at 77 at Joplin Regional Airport this afternoon. That's despite partly sunny skies coming through across the area ahead of our next storm system that we're watching closely, because that's going to start to bring in better rain and thunderstorm chances very soon. In the meantime, we're in the upper 60s to near 70, and we'll only drop back to about 60 degrees in many locations, with us rebounding back into the mid-70s. I think much of the day tomorrow, Jordan, is quiet, but by tomorrow night, Wednesday, that could be a different story. We'll break down this next storm system here in a bit.
Nick, thank you. Oklahoma Governor Kevin Stitt signed 2 bills into law that will impact education in the Sooner States. One of these bills will change the way the state will fund school districts. KOAM's Bronte Sorotsky spoke with Miami Public Schools and how this could affect area students and staff.
In Oklahoma, the funding formula for public schools is based on enrollment in a weighted average daily membership, or ADM. Each student is assigned a weight by grade level and other factors. Schools have a weighted ADM for the district and are allocated money based on this. They go off records from the current year as well as the 2 previous years, and would be funded off of the highest ADM from that time frame.
It does encompass 3 school years. When they look at that, and so it gives districts some flexibility in time if they are a declining enrollment.
But Oklahoma's governor just signed a bill into law that would alter the way the state funds districts, basing it off of just the previous year. Because enrollment declines in rural areas more than others, this bill would no longer allow smaller Oklahoma communities like Miami the flexibility and time to adjust to these enrollment changes.
This legislation will not go into effect until fiscal year 23, which is the 2022 and 23 school year, and so we're working on a long-term budget plan to try to address that, but there's no denying that our students are going to feel it.
This bill will not only make it harder for school districts to plan and budget, but will also affect the tools teachers use to educate. Christy Hammonds is a math teacher at Nichols Upper Elementary School and uses hands-on methods to get students to grasp onto concepts better. But if she were to lose some of these hands-on methods due to funding cuts, her students could suffer.
I teach math, and I am a very hands-on math teacher, and I have lots of manipulatives and hands-on things that we do. And some of those are used year to year. Other things are consumable and have to be purchased again. And so if I don't have those supplies, then that cuts out on the hands-on things that I'm able to do.
Meaning students could lose precious learning experiences. In Miami, Bronte Sorotsky, KOAM News.
Governor also signed another education bill into law which will allow students to transfer between any school district at any time of the year. April is Child Abuse Awareness Month. Joplin Police Department is taking part. The department set up 371 blue pinwheels in honor of every child abuse allegation made in Joplin in 2020. Blue color represents the victims in those cases. Officials with JPD want this to be a reminder to everyone. If you see something, please say something.
Child Abuse Prevention Month is a great tool, reaching out to the Joplin Police Department. If you see something or you have suspicion of something, report it. Missouri Child Abuse Hotline, it's a 1-800 number. It is staffed all the time.
Pinwheels will be up throughout April. The White House COVID-19 response team says we're just around the corner from a fourth coronavirus surge as cases continue to tick upward across the country. Fox News correspondent David Lee Miller has more now from New York City.
As we celebrate the renewal of this season, we know that long forward dawn is almost here.
President Biden marking a year of COVID casualties during a special address, but also offering hope for a return to normalcy. The U.S. is now averaging more than 3.1 million vaccine shots every day, and the program is still accelerating. But new cases are also on the rise. More than 64,000 per day on average, up from 54,000 last week. Health officials now say we're on the verge of a fourth surge, and it could be hitting younger Americans harder.
We are learning that many outbreaks in young people are related to youth sports and extracurricular activities.
The spread of new COVID variants is helping to push case numbers up more quickly. The NIH says vaccines should be effective against these new strains, but they're also seeing a growing number of infections happening between the first and second shots.
When you just leave it at one dose, the question is, how long does it last? And when you're dealing with variants, you're in a tenuous zone.
Despite the threat of a new surge, a number of states are moving ahead with reopening plans, including easing restrictions at nursing homes, now that 3/4 of seniors have gotten at least one vaccine shot.
And nothing compares to seeing a loved one up close. And so that's been really the most invigorating and happy moment.
There is new guidance on disinfecting surfaces. The CDC says cleaning once a day is enough to kill the virus. In New York, David Lee Miller, Fox News.
CDC is out with new guidance for cruise liners. This is more people looking at traveling again. The industry has been operating under a conditional sail order, and cruise liners have been hoping, of course, for information on when they can sail again. CDC says its next conditional sail order will allow cruise liners to conduct simulated voyages with volunteers and crew before sailing with passengers again. It also calls for an increase in COVID-19 testing and the need for a plan to vaccinate crew staff. Health agency has still not given a date for cruises fully resuming operations from U.S. ports. KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14 takes this time now to honor one of our Force Day heroes. Everett Thornton served the U.S. Air Force during World War II, spending time in Burma, India, and China. He received 3 battle stars. We are proud to thank Everett Thornton. He's tonight's Force Day hero. Nick Kelly's up next with a complete look at the forecast, and a bit later, the Bill O'Dell baseball tournament getting started today over in Carthage. Going to have highlights, of course, in sports.
I want to focus on the beautiful day that we have and our next storm system on the way. We'll have the next 3 minutes on the floor, so why not start with the good news before, depending on how you look at our next storm system, some bad news on the way. Despite more cloud cover today, partly sunny skies on the average, we had a great time with some indigo sky. And despite those partly sunny skies, we had a good south wind in play to really help us out with temperatures. It was kind of a warm Easter Sunday the other day, with temperatures pushing into the mid-70s at least, dropping back to the mid-50s this morning and pushing up to 77 this afternoon at Joplin Regional. Again, all thanks to that south breeze. That's still in action right now, keeping temperatures at 70 at the airport and also downtown. That south wind, by the way, at 13 miles per hour. Quick look around the rest of the region has us in the upper 60s to near 70s. Still quite mild, all because of the south wind that earlier today was ranging between 10 and 25 miles per hour sustained. That's not even counting the wind gusts pushing near 30. We're backing down on this breeze a bit, but still at 10 to 20. It's going to be a bit of a breezy night. It helps us out with temperatures again, though, because we'll only drop off to 60 by the time we hit sunrise in the morning, and then back into the mid-70s tomorrow, just ahead of our next cold front on the way. So where is that next storm system? Can't see it among first impressions here in the Skywatch Storm Tracker. We've had nothing to deal with all day long, but just to the north and west. It's not the frontal systems right to our north. It's the warm front over Wyoming and the trailing cold front going back into California. That's the backside of this system overall. That's going to head our way tomorrow night and into Wednesday, and we'll see that front finally head our way now that we're getting this upper low that was sitting near Vancouver not too long ago. It's working across the Rockies and still ready to push that front our way. It won't do it tonight or for much of tomorrow, but we are going to see temperatures right around 60 as we head into the morning hours. Now at noon, you see the future track at times trying to pop up a little blip of green. That's moisture trying to overcome warm air aloft to get a random shower or storm going. I think we're going to hold off on that for much of the day, so I'm keeping things dry. But you know, Mother Nature always has the final say, so I'm not going to rule out a stray storm in the afternoon. Otherwise, 60 in the morning, 71 by noon, afternoon highs around 76. We're quiet to start the evening out, but then here comes that cold front that wants to trigger a good complex of rain and strong to severe thunderstorms across central Kansas and have some of that activity work our way. Now, at this stage, we don't have exactly a prime setup for severe weather. Still, nonetheless, we've got a low risk of severe weather from Uniontown, Chanute, Fredonia points north and west, but everyone has a fair shot from 11 o'clock tomorrow night to 5 a.m. to see strong, maybe a few low and severe storms, with wind and hail being the biggest threats. Then once we get behind that cold front pushing the storms in, we'll deal with the backside of the system, giving us on and off rain chances Wednesday and continuing into Thursday. Also dropping highs into the 60s Wednesday and Thursday. Then the system's gone Friday. We're back to 75. Another wave Saturday could give us a few storms, and we'll just keep an eye on more storm chances on the way in the forecast, Jordan.
Across the board, though, awesome temperatures.
Yeah, even with these systems coming and going, just 60s and 70s for highs. Nothing bad about that.
See you in a little bit. Thank you so much, Nick Kelly. Coming up, more testimony from current law enforcement against previous law enforcement.
Testimony in the Derek Chauvin murder trial turns to police policy as the chief takes the stand. I'm Mike Tobin in Minneapolis. Details coming up.
A memorial of flowers growing outside the U.S. Capitol in honor of fallen Capitol Police Officer William Evans. Flowers, as we're seeing right there, adorn the fences surrounding the northern entrance to the U.S. Capitol, the scene where Evans was killed after being rammed by a vehicle Friday afternoon. Evans was an 18-year veteran of the force. The suspect, 25-year-old Noah Green, was shot and killed by police when he emerged out of his vehicle holding a knife. Law enforcement says Green was not previously known to D.C. or Capitol Police and appears to have acted as a lone wolf. Police Chief of Minneapolis taking the stand for the prosecution in the trial of Derek Chauvin. Fox News correspondent Mike Tobin has the latest from Minneapolis.
Yes. Mr. Chauvin's right there.
The murder trial of former Minneapolis police officer Derek Chauvin continued into its second week on Monday. Police Chief Madaria Arredondo testifying on Chauvin's conduct on the day of George Floyd's death last spring.
To continue to apply that level of force to a person proned out, handcuffed behind their back, that in no way, shape, or form is anything that is by policy. It is not part of our training, and it is certainly not part of our ethics or our values.
Arredondo fired Chauvin the day after Floyd's death, and last summer he called it a murder. Earlier on Monday, the emergency room doctor who pronounced Floyd dead said he believed Floyd died from a lack of oxygen, not a drug overdose or heart attack.
I determined that the likelihood of any meaningful outcome was far below 1%, and that we would not be able to resuscitate Mr. Floyd, and so I then pronounced him dead.
And doctor, is there another name for death by oxygen deficiency?
Asphyxia is a commonly understood term.
The trial of Derek Chauvin is expected to take 3 more weeks. In Minneapolis, Mike Tobin, Fox News.
Just ahead, what's needed to turn a dream into reality?
A top Senate Democrat says President Biden's infrastructure plan will need to be changed if he hopes to get the votes to pass it. I'm Ray Bogan with a look at what he says needs to be done coming up.
Florida's governor declaring a state of emergency because of a toxic wastewater pond near Tampa Bay in danger of breaching. The Piney Point Reservoir at an old phosphate plant is surrounded by radioactive material, though officials say the water is not radioactive itself. Florida officials have evacuated a nearby jail and more than 300 homes. Authorities say they will try to close this plant permanently, but the bigger issue here, they say, is that there are dozens of similar plants with crumbling, aging infrastructure all over the state. President Biden talking infrastructure as he returns to the White House for his Easter remarks. It's his next big project, but lawmakers are divided over whether they actually want to see it pass. Fox News correspondent Ray Bogan has more on what he wants done.
President Biden and the First Lady taking a moment to deliver an Easter message at the White House, saying there is hope even in the midst of a pandemic.
We will rebuild our nation. We will re-engage and reimagine what we can be.
The president's remarks hinting at his multi-trillion-dollar infrastructure bill that he wants passed by Congress.
As the bill exists today, it needs to be changed. This bill will not be in the same form you've seen it introduced.
In a radio interview, Democratic Senator Joe Manchin says the nation is overdue for an infrastructure overhaul, but says the president's plan for paying for it with a 28% corporate tax is way too high and should be closer to 25%. But the president doubled down in defense of his plan, addressing the topic head-on during his return to the White House this afternoon.
I'm going to push as hard as I can to change the circumstance so we can compete with the rest of the world.
So we fully expect that from Senator Manchin and other members, and we expect the question of how to pay for the package, if we should pay for the package, to be part of the discussion moving forward.
Republicans are also pushing for the bill to be recrafted.
There's a way to do infrastructure without charging it or completely reversing the tax policy that every single one of my members believed was in the best interest of the country.
Senator Manchin says there are at least 6 other Democrats who disagree with President Biden's corporate tax proposal, and to get this bill through the Senate, the president will need all Democrats on board. Ray Bogan, Fox News.
Story of a reporter who right there had to go on a chase for her story, but there's a good ending, as you can see. We're going to learn more about this when we come back. While it seems many of us can't get away from being online, a new poll reveals how many Americans don't use the internet. A survey conducted by Pew Research earlier this year shows 7% of people here in the United States don't go online at all. About a quarter of those individuals are 65 years of age or older. Adults living in households with income less than $30,000 a year are also less likely to use the internet than those with incomes of $75,000 a year or more. The survey sampled about 1,500 adults. All right, a weather report from the streets of Moscow. Gone to the dogs. It happened Friday when the reporter was about to do a live report on Russian TV broadcaster Mir. As soon as she started speaking, watch here. Golden Retriever jumped up, grabbed her microphone, and ran away. Reporter tracked down the pooch, eventually retrieved the microphone, as we're seeing right there. A happy ending occurred when the two returned to air and shook, showing no hard feelings on either side. Apparently, the reporter was talking about rain coming in and it raining cats and dogs. Dogs didn't like, don't talk about cats. Take your microphone away. 30 more minutes, news, weather, and sports coming your way.
The first medical marijuana dispensary in Joplin is open. I'm Zach Dodge with an inside look coming up.
Also a special birthday for 1-4 staters celebrating 102 years young. Medical marijuana has been legal now in Missouri ever since November of 2018. Since then, there's been a handful of dispensaries open in southwest Missouri from Cassville to Neosho. But now, medical cannabis patients have another option. KOAM Zach Dodge gives us a look at Joplin's first medical marijuana dispensary and how it's been in the works now for more.
A high level of knowledge in a private, secure setting. That's what Missouri-made marijuana wants to bring to the table.
We really go the extra mile to train our bud tenders on all the products that we do have in stock so we can ensure that the patient is given the right product.
But a big part of it is having a place that's close to home.
Driving to Neosho or Oklahoma can be pretty rough on gas and stuff like that, so it's nice to have one that's close.
Missouri-made marijuana at the corner of 15th and Rangeline is officially open.
Super excited. I'm just excited for patients to come in and be able to get what they need.
The dispensary's been in the works for more than a year, meaning that bud tenders like Samantha Palisade, who used to be a nurse, have been waiting for months to see patients walk through the doors.
I was constantly calling and bugging the managers here, like, when we're going, come on now, come on.
All the way from, developing our location here, to hiring the employees, training everybody, working our relationships up with the local vendors here in Missouri to find product for our patients. To finally be open and have people coming in the doors here in Missouri in a new state is surreal to us.
The dispensary currently has flower, pre-rolls, vape cartridges, and edibles, but they're working on their own product line so they can make sure the product they have meets the demand and help as many patients as possible.
Just come on in and we're here to help.
In Joplin, Zach Dodge, KOAM News.
Dispensary is open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Joplin City Council met today and announced the Joplin Senior Center will be opening in a limited capacity, though if there is a spike in COVID-19 cases, it will close again. City also approved the first reading of an ordinance to amend the police department's budget to buy new equipment, including another evidence storage unit. Today's a big day for a resident of Pittsburgh's Carrington Place. Vi turned 102 years old. Bogger still lives alone and takes care of herself. To celebrate the big day, Carrington's Place brought in some live music along with some of Bogger's friends and family. Bogger says the key to her long life is not stressing over the little things.
The things you can't do anything about, accept and live with it. That's because that's the way it's going to be. And that's what I've done most of my life, is took life as it came.
Happy birthday, Miss Viva Bogger. The live music was provided by the Pittsburgh Ukulele Group. A new poll shed some light on how Americans feel about President Biden's approach to immigration. Poll by the Associated Press NORC Center for Public Affairs research found that 42% of Americans approve of the Biden's administration's handling of immigration in general, with 44% also approving his handling of border security. When it comes to the president's handling of unaccompanied minors arriving at the southern border, however, 40% of Americans disapprove of his actions, with only 24% of people approving. Most Americans believe reuniting parents and children who are separated at the U.S. border should be one of the Biden administration's top priorities. Surge at the southern border isn't relenting, and now there are signs the increasing number of migrants may be dragging down the president's approval ratings, as the White House says they're handling the situation. Fox News correspondent Lauren Blanchard has more now from D.C.
The White House releasing a new video of President Biden welcoming newly naturalized American citizens.
Every immigrant comes from America from different circumstances and for different reasons. But you all have one thing in common: courage.
A new Associated Press NORC poll shows while a majority of Americans approve of President Biden's job performance as a whole, when it comes to immigration, only 42% approve, 56% disapprove. And in terms of border security, 55% disapprove, following a massive wave of migrants attempting to illegally cross the southern border.
There's no question this is a difficult challenge, and the president believes he was elected to address hard problems.
Now, Customs and Border Protection say they believe up to 184,000 unaccompanied migrant children could show up at the border in 2021.
The Border Patrol agents, as well as our law enforcement partners, are doing everything we can. Our resources are just stretched awfully thin right now.
According to the poll, 40% of Americans disapprove of the administration's handling of the migrant kids.
Our focus is not on looking at the poll. It is on implementing solutions.
I think President Biden just doesn't care. I think he plans on admitting between 2 and 3 million illegal immigrants into our country this year.
Lawmakers in both parties are also focused on the issue. Republican Senator Bill Hagerty is calling on the president to increase immigration and customs enforcement funding. Democrat Tom Carper leading a delegation of lawmakers to see the border Monday evening. In Washington, Lauren Blanchard, Fox News.
A bit later, the story of a helicopter on Mars.
NASA's Ingenuity Mars helicopter makes space history. I'm Phil Keating in Miami with what this little helicopter and its maiden voyage could mean for future space exploration.
We enjoyed a beautiful day. We can get by another quiet note for the most part tomorrow before our next storm system rolls on in. Even though we had quite a bit of cloud cover work across indigo sky, the time lapse outside of Seneca, Missouri, and all across the area, that didn't change the fact that we hit the mid to upper 70s for highs today. And thanks to a south wind still at 13 miles per hour in Joplin and all across the region, we're still holding on to 70 degrees with that humidity not too bad, sitting at 53%. We have upper 60s to near 70 degrees across much of the region, save for a few mid 60s as you work closer to Springfield, Bolivar, and especially Table Rock Lake. In general, though, everyone's still mild because of our south wind still between 10 and 20 miles per hour. Earlier today, they were a little bit higher than that, and not to mention the gusts pushing near 30 miles per hour. For the rest of the night, it's still going to be a bit breezy, but that keeps temperatures mild as we'll only drop off to near 60 around Joplin, and then we'll bounce back into the mid 70s tomorrow on a mainly quiet note, just ahead of our next storm system on the way in. It's not in the immediate four-state region right now, even though we do have more cloud cover wanting to roll in from the west overnight. This is the front that we're keeping an eye on. We're not dealing with the entire front, and it's quite a front too, stretching from the east coast all the way back to California, but it's the cold front coming out of southwestern Wyoming and Utah. That's going to be the cold front that'll bring in some changes come tomorrow night and certainly Wednesday, especially as we can get this upper low out of Idaho. That's, as it moves along, is going to push that cold front our way. So let's time that system out for you. It stays far away from us again tonight and going into your Tuesday morning, so out ahead of it, any cloud cover coming out of Kansas heads our way, keeping temperatures mainly around 60 degrees. A few of you could sneak back into the upper 50s, but here's noon and here's 4 o'clock. Generally partly sunny, but with more moisture coming in, I would not be surprised if we had maybe just a rogue shower or a quick thunderstorm popping up. But I think there's going to be enough warm air aloft to suppress any moisture from getting storms going, at least during the day. So 60 in the morning, 71 by noon, afternoon highs around 76. So when can we expect a better thunderstorm chances? I think we'll have to keep an eye on things starting at 10 o'clock because we will anticipate thunderstorms ahead of the cold front. It could come as a cluster out of central and eastern parts of Kansas and roll through here as we go through the overnight and into your Wednesday morning. If the storms can unfold like we see here on the future track, they could bring a low severe threat. So far, the biggest risk of that, even though it's a low risk, is going to be from Uniontown, Chanute, Fredonia, points north and west. Still, everyone will be keeping an eye on these storms between 11 o'clock tomorrow night and 5 a.m. Wednesday, for mainly wind and hail being the biggest issues. And then once we get rid of the front, we don't have to deal with any more thunderstorms, but the backside of the system will continue to keep us under the clouds and keep some rain chances around through the middle of the week. 76 tomorrow, 68 and dropping on Wednesday. We'll still be in the mid-60s on Thursday. Then dry on Friday, highs are 75. Then I'll watch a couple other storm chances Saturday morning, Sunday night, and next Monday, Jordan.
You definitely feel that wind today, but it wasn't too bad.
No, not bad at all. It certainly felt nice.
Nick Kelly, thank you so much. Coming up in sports, Carl Junction and the O Show going back and forth to open up the Bill O'Dell tournament in Carthage. Plus, Webb City aiming to stay rolling against McDonald County. Jacob Leonard has highlights next.
Today is the opening day of the Bill O'Dell baseball tournament in Carthage. First up on the schedule, we have a pair of teams out of the COC. It's Carl Junction taking on Neosho in the tournament opener. CJ 6-2 so far this season. Tie game in the first, Dylan Eck all the way to the wall and left. That scores Drew Byer and Alex Baker. Carl Junction leads 3-1 after one. To the third inning now. It was a big one for Neosho. Wyatt Kepler over everybody in left. Scores Reese Miller. Wildcats get 4 in the third to go up 6-3. The bottom of the fourth. CJ with a big-time answer. Noah Southern up. Drilled this one, man. Over the wall in left. Bulldogs back in front 7-6. Now they're back down one in the sixth inning. Second and third for Alex Baker. He delivers a 2-run single to left. Now Baker actually going to be tagged out trying to get to second, but he'll take it, man. Baker gets the go-ahead game winner. Carl Junction beats Neosho 10-9.
I had a lot of big at-bats by a lot of guys, and Alex there had a really good approach in the box and did a nice job staying on a fastball, and happy for him. He's a high-character kid, and so anytime, you know, we got guys that play the game the right way. Anytime things go their way, you're happy for them.
After that one, it's Mount Vernon and Nevada on the field. Nevada goes on to win this one 6-4. Now the Tigers face Neosho tomorrow, while Mount Vernon aims to bounce back against Carl Junction. The Webb City Cardinals are 9-1 to begin the baseball season. Now, since their one loss back on April 1st, the Cards bounced back to win 4 in a row, scoring at least 13 runs in all 4 of those. Webb City at home this afternoon, trying to stay hot against McDonald County. Now, they really wasted no time today. Tragan Parker drills it to center all the way to the fence. Devin Weathers trots in. Parker into third for the triple. Cards on the board first. Next batter, Matt Woodmansee slices it the opposite way into the left field corner. Parker's in. Woodmansee, easy double. And moments later, Shane Knoll brings Woodmansee in. Line drive base hit to center. That makes it 3-0. They would get one more. Cole Gaiman through the left side. Knoll hustles around to score. Webb City gets 4 in the first. Cardinals get to 10-1, beating McDonald County 12-2. The Kansas City Royals are off to a good start this season. The Royals took 2 out of 3 from the Texas Rangers over the weekend to open the season. And today, Kansas City on the road for the first time. The series opener against Cleveland. Whit Merrifield, big swing here. 2-run shot for the Royals. Makes it 2-0 Kansas City. Now 2 runs today. More than enough for that dude right there, Danny Duffy. Duffy gets Roberto Perez. Then Cesar Hernandez down swinging. Finally, Jose Ramirez can have a seat too. 6 shutout innings for Duffy. Only allows 2 hits. How about some defense here? 9th inning, Carlos Santana over there at first. Makes the nice stop, able to start the 3-6-1 double play. Kansas City now 3-1. Royals top Cleveland 3-0. That's a look at sports. We're back with more news after this.
A major milestone for NASA's Ingenuity Mars helicopter. Fox News correspondent Phil Keating has more on how this mission could possibly pave the way for future space exploration.
Small but mighty. NASA's Mars Ingenuity helicopter making history, surviving its first night alone on the red planet, despite the possible impacts of the up to minus 130-degree temperatures at the Jezero crater. Those frigid temperatures have the potential to freeze and crack unprotected electrical components and damage the onboard batteries required for flight. And researchers say the craft has the right insulation, the right heaters, and a strong enough battery as it prepares to make the world's first powered controlled flight on another planet in the coming days.
Ingenuity will open new possibilities and will spark questions for the future about what we could accomplish with an aerial explorer.
The 4-pound helicopter, which is really more like a drone, was deployed from the Perseverance rover on Saturday, touching down on the surface of Mars and taking this photo using its color camera. Ingenuity is on the red planet alone, using the rover as a communications relay between the helicopter and Mars and Earth. Its sole mission, a technology demonstration in the thin Martian atmosphere for 30 Martian days, and will hopefully give scientists insight into how to survive the harsh Mars nights.
Could we support future human missions with aerial capabilities?
On Wednesday, Ingenuity's restraints are expected to be released for in-flight testing, and then on Sunday, that big, historic maiden voyage on the Red Planet. In Miami, Phil Keating, Fox News.
30-something. All right, a rundown of all the shows coming your way this week on Fox 14 when we come back. This week on Fox TV, check out more of the Moody's. Plus, the Masked Singer competition continues and more. Here's Fox's Ashley Dvorkin.
It's time for a Masked Singer finals round. Here's what's hot on Fox.
Athena Carter.
First on Monday, 911 backstory replays continue with Athena Begins.
I thought maybe perhaps Athena always wanted to be a cop, but to really find out the origin of that and that she had another career path, but that someone had influence on her life, made a imprint on her life. It was a big heart, a big love, a big heartache, heartbreak, but she dedicated herself to a good venture.
You helped us get justice. That's followed by America's Most Wanted, hosted by Elizabeth Vargas.
Give me city.
Tuesday has an encore of The Resident when a car crash puts Kane in Chastain Hospital.
Right around in the back of the Benzie.
Then it's the Masked Singer Group B replay.
Barracuda.
Wednesday brings the Group B finals, battling for a spot in the Super 8. Plus, another wildcard contestant joins in.
We are raising the stakes.
Then an all-new Game of Talents combining large-scale variety show with competitive guessing game.
This is embarrassing.
Thursday, there are only 4 chefs left on Hell's Kitchen. Eve is back home for a visit on Last Man Standing. And get in the moody for more dysfunctional family fun with The Moody's.
Let's go!
Friday, it's WWE Friday Night SmackDown.
To Meteora!
And over the weekend, another Sunday fun day full of animation, starting with The Simpsons. In Hollywood, Ashley Dvorkin, Fox News.
That's our time for tonight. Thanks so much for joining us. Going to leave you with video of a flower field in Carlsbad, California. Be safe. Do this all again tomorrow. See you then.